Good morning, Asean. Freshen up your world, your thought, and your idea with us every weekday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. I'm Patsurang Desha Puttarangsi.
And then Rina Jungprasid is Monday, the 8th of July. What do we have first, Kun Patsurang?
Well, let's begin with an unfortunate event happened in India as multiple small bomb blasts at one of the Buddhist holiest sites, the Bodh Gaya temple complex in eastern India, wounded 2 monks just yesterday, but the historic temple itself was not damaged. The Indian government called the blasts a terror attack after 8 bombs exploded at the complex in Bihar state, attracting Buddhists and other visitors from all over the world. No one claimed responsibility for the attack, but the police said they earlier warned officials that Islamic militants could target the site as revenge for Buddhist violence against Muslims in neighboring Myanmar. Senior police official S.K. Barajwaj said 8 low-intensity serial blasts took place early this morning, injuring 2 people. 2 more bombs were found and defused inside the complex, one of them near the temple's celebrated 24-meter-tall statue of the Buddha. Additional security forces have been deployed to guard the temple complex after the blasts, which wounded 2 monks, a 50-year-old Tibetan and another 30-year-old Myanmar. Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh condemned the blasts at the complex, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and said such attacks on religious places will never be tolerated. Junior Home Minister RPN Singh told reporters it is clear that this was a terror attack and teams of investigators were probing the incident. Attacks on Buddhists are rare in India, but there have been tensions in the wider region recently following clashes between Buddhists and Muslims in Myanmar, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh.
More than 10,000 Cambodians have rallied in the capital Phnom Penh's Olympic Stadium yesterday to mark the 5th anniversary of the designation of the disputed Privy Here Temple as a UN World Heritage Site. Since the border temple became a heritage site in 2008, Thai and Cambodian forces have clashed there on several occasions, leaving 11 soldiers dead and 34 Thais and 55 Cambodians wounded, according to official statements from both sides. Cambodia rejects both Thailand's claim to the land around the temple and its neighbors' request for joint management of the site, which is more readily accessible from Thailand. The International Court of Justice, or ICJ, awarded the temple to Cambodia in 1962, but the ruling did not determine the ownership of the 1.8 square miles of land next to the ruins. Cambodia made a complaint to the ICJ over Thailand's claim, and the court is due to make a decision later this year. In the Cambodian capital on Sunday, people gathered at the Olympic Stadium to hear speeches from Deputy Prime Minister Sok An, along with live music, theater, and fireworks. Sok An said, "Let us all celebrate the 5th anniversary of our Privy Here Temple." It was listed as a World Heritage Site, which is the symbol and pride of Cambodia, and is also part of the heritage of all nations in the world. Thousands of city officials, students and spectators wearing 5th anniversary of Privy Here T-shirts joined in the celebration. Privy Here, or Khao Pravihan as the Thais call it, was completed in the 11th century and predates the more famous Angkor Wat temple complex by 100 years.
Cambodia's opposition leader, Sam Rainsy, has vowed to return to Cambodia. It is seen as a move his party hailed as a boost to its chances in this coming election. Sam Rainsy, as seen as the main challenges to strongman Hun Sen, promised to travel to Cambodia before the election day on July 28th in a video posted on his Facebook page. The opposition spokesman Yim Sovan said the presence of Sam Rainsy will encourage voters to believe in Cambodia, a national rescue party. Rainsy's presence would create a strong force that would make a change and bring a positive result for the country. He said, adding that the opposition leader was working to set a date for his return. Prime Minister Hun Sen, who has ruled Cambodia for 28 years, is widely expected to win a majority in the elections. Well, Rainsy lives in exile in France and faces 11 years in jail if he returns after he was convicted in absentia for charges, including publishing a false map of the border with Vietnam. He said he would sacrifice his life for the country, and he dares to die in order to save the nation from disaster. The opposition leader, who fired Cambodia in 2009, has vowed to return several times in the past year, but he has never succeeded it yet. But a government spokesman, Keo Kamharith, told AFP that we will just wait and see whether he will walk the walk or not. Will he be arrested or not upon his return to Cambodia? You should ask the question to the court. Anyway, Hun Sen is one of Southeast Asia's longest-serving leaders and has steered the impoverished country from the ashes of civil war and overseen a growing economy through development, tourism, and garment exports. His government is regularly accused of suppressing political freedoms and muzzling activists. In May, he said he would try to stay in power for another decade until he is 74. He previously vowed to hold office until he reaches 90.
Top Indian companies are preparing to invest in Myanmar at $2.6 billion in a host of industries, including telecommunications, energy, and aviation. Though somewhat late in entering a neighboring country that is emerging from the shadows of decades-long military dictatorship, India seems to be determined now to make up for the time it lost there. Countries like the US, Japan, and China have all started making deep inroads there. At present, Indian investments in Myanmar stand at around $273.5 million. This is expected to soar to $2.60 billion in the next few years. Some of the companies that are already present there are the state-owned ONGC Videsh Limited, or OVL, Jubilant Oil and Gas, and Century Ply, among others. Other Indian investors having operations in Myanmar include Tata Motors and SR Energy. Recently, during the visit of Indian Commerce and Industry Minister Anand Sharma there, the government set up India-Myanmar Joint Trade Committee. It will be co-chaired by Bharti Enterprises' Sunil Bhatti Mittal. The first meeting of the committee took place on June the 7th. The Myanmar government awarded 2 telecom licenses under their new policy framework. Bharti Airtel has been shortlisted for submission of final bids.
A recent report has shown that there has been increasing demand from Myanmar locals to buy properties in one of the prime destinations in the world in London, England. Meet Mr. Andrew Batt, a property guru in Myanmar Focus Daily.
A report shows that there has been an increasing demand from Myanmar locals in buying property in one of the prime destinations in the world, which is London, the capital city of the United Kingdom. Myanmar Focus Daily today will take into details on this story. According to a news report by ddproperty.com, London-based property advisor London Dom is opening an office in Yangon, Myanmar to service increasing demand for UK property from local buyers. Managing Director of London Dom told Prime Receipt's website he would be heading to Myanmar this month to meet with potential clients, stating that the suspensions of international sanctions and improved relations with the West has opened up amazing opportunities for the country after years of economic isolation. The main targets for London Dom Myanmar unit will be buyers who look for homes or properties investment in London. The MD said the company's initial market research shows that there is a roughly 50-50 split in interest between new build and period properties, with budgets between £500,000 and £2.5 million. Some interested in family houses outside of central London.
The reason why a lot of Southeast Asians and people from Myanmar are looking at London is that it's a safe haven in terms of property investments. I think with Myanmar there's also the cultural link, the historical link, and a lot of Asians in general are buying in London for education reasons as well as for an investment. So they're buying to send their children to university in the UK, and they're also going to experience a likely capital appreciation and rental return.
The expert noted there has always been a certain number of the interests of Southeast Asian buyers who are interested in buying property in the UK, particularly London. In terms of Myanmar, he thinks the interest is relatively new. Meanwhile, Knight Frank's recent wealth report shows buyers from Myanmar already accounted for close to 1% of all buyers of £2 million properties bought in the UK in the 12 months to April 2013. The property experts see this number as quite high, which is similar to a number of people from Switzerland buying the same particular sector of the market. In opening up an office in Myanmar for London-based property advisor, the analyst sees Myanmar as a lot of potential for overseas property developer agents.
The fact that we're seeing what is probably the first London agency investing probably quite a lot of money in setting up an affiliate office in Yangon shows that there is already interest and there is the potential for even more interest. We've seen the likes of Colliers, for example, who have been in Myanmar for a number of years, and just last week Savills announced that they're setting up a specific office to look after Vietnam. So we're going to see a lot more overseas developers and agents looking at Myanmar as a potential source of income for the future.
However, he noted that investing in Myanmar will be for a medium or a long-term play. The huge return will likely be after 2 to 3 years.
Long term, I think there's a lot of potential, and those companies that are there now or looking to establish themselves there now are going to be ahead of those that are perhaps waiting and seeing what's going to happen.
The article by ddproperty.com also cited Super Rich Resource House WealthX forecast that Myanmar will see a major leap in high net worth individuals' numbers in the coming years. There are currently fewer than 40 high net worth individuals in the country, but WealthX and Knight Frank predict that the number will rise by 687% to 307 by 2022, thanks to the opening up of the nation's economy. It is the biggest increase in the number of high net worth individuals of any country, and these changes would put Myanmar firmly in the middle income bracket of world nations based on GDP per capita. Aravita Misang from Myanmar Focus Daily.
Foreign airlines have shown interest to invest in Philippines airline. Find out more after the break.
Malaysia's central bank has imposed measures on household lending, including limits to loan tenures, which economists said will rein in excessive consumer borrowing and curb property speculation. Bank Negara Malaysia said it will now only allow personal loans of up to 10 years, while financing both residential and non-residential properties will have a maximum payback term of 35 years. Previously, consumers were allowed to apply for personal property loans of up to 25 years and 45 years respectively. The central bank also announced a ban on pre-approved personal financing products, unsolicited loan and credit card offers effective immediately. The central bank said although a longer loan term may reduce monthly repayments, it encourages excessive debt accumulation and saddles consumers with heavier overall debt burden. Ye Kim Ling, Group Chief Economist with financial firm RAM Holdings, said that the mild credit tightening is designed to curb household debt from rising excessively. Meanwhile, Wan Suhaimi Sadi, economist with Kenanga Investment Bank, described the measures as positive for the economy because it would prevent a possible bubble burst in the household debt and if consumers continue to enjoy easy borrowings. The central bank, however, said households who have the financial capacity to take on borrowings will continue to enjoy access to financing. Ye ruled out possible interest rate hike as this painful move will hurt growth in the export-dependent country amid the weak global economy. While Malaysia's economy is expected to grow 5 to 6% this year, powered by strong domestic demand.
San Miguel Corp is in talks to bring a major foreign firm as a strategic partner in flag carrier Philippine Airlines, and the prospective partners include Tokyo-based All Nippon Airways or ANA and Dubai-based Emirates Airline. The SMC was in talks with ANA on a prospective partnership in PAL, while some exploratory talks have been conducted with Emirates. SMC Ramon Ang, who is also president of PAL, confirmed that these foreign airlines have expressed interest to invest in PAL and that SMC was open to taking any of them as a partner. Ang said PAL would welcome a strategic investor and that a partnership could happen within this year. Tycoon Lucio Tan earlier put his 51% stake in PAL on the block, but as a strategic partner, SMC has the option to take up the block and consolidate its interest in the flag carrier. However, SMC is also open to getting another strategic partner in PAL, which Ang said could return to profitability as early as 2014. We are now actually in discussions with ANA, said another source within the SMC group, also confirming the initial discussions with Emirates. ANA is Japan's biggest airline in terms of passenger volume and one of the largest in the region. Meanwhile, Emirates is the largest airline in the Middle East and one of the leading carriers globally. A foreign airline, however, can buy up to 40% of PAL, given the existing constitutional restriction on foreign ownership in key industries. PAL is embarking on a massive fleet modernization program with about 100 new planes expected to be delivered over the next 5 years, of which 80 have been ordered to date.
Dengue fever has surged in the central Philippines, infecting more than 1,800 people and killing at least 10. According to the provincial official, the number of people struck down by mosquito-borne disease in the central province of Iloilo this year is already 71% higher than the same period last year. Well, the administrator, Raul Banias, added that dengue fatalities in the first half of 2013 were already equal to the total deaths of the whole of last year. The latest outbreak in the province, located around 400 kilometers south of Manila, has caused particular alarm because it began before the rainy season started in June, when mosquitoes are less plentiful. He added that the outbreak may be a sign of a changing behavior of mosquitoes and a result of people storing water improperly. Dengue is spread by mosquitoes that breed in stagnant water and usually bite people during daytime, but the behavior of the mosquitoes has changed. He said that they are no longer biting during the day only, even at night they're biting. So additionally, many of the 1.6 million people living in the largely rural province still stockpile water in their homes due to lack of property plumbing, making it easier for the mosquitoes to breed. Provincial health workers are now being deployed to the hardest hit areas to inspect homes, searching for any water container where the mosquitoes might breed. Residents are also being advised to keep their water containers covered, while victims are being given free treatment in government hospitals. Well, dengue fever is a recurring problem in the Philippines, but while the number of incidents this year is slightly lower nationwide, it has been spiking in certain areas such as Iloilo. That's it for Good Morning ASEAN today. We'll see you again, same time, same place, same channel.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Weena Jongprasit.
And I'm Hatsurang Desha Putarang Si. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ